Hey guys, welcome to all the Husker fans out there. It's Chris Peterson here and Danny Gillette of the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. And I'm Chris, and Danny is joining me here as my co-host. As always, we're here to talk some Nebraska football, which has been tough. That was a tough loss, but if you guys are out here on the YouTube channel or looking on social media and want to vent, go ahead and hop on. We'll chat here for a little bit and try
Yeah.
to, make sense of all this. But Danny, you said you wanted to say something, so
Yeah.
I'll give you the floor here.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, thank you for watching our YouTube channel. To everybody who's watched our YouTube channel, at the end of the season last year, we had 160 subscribers, and now we're up to 890 something. I don't have the exact count, but and also, when we did this podcast at the end of the year, at the end of the Iowa game last year, I hadn't been a member or a writer at huskerbigred.com. And, I joined in February, and, the response has been great for both of us. So I think I can say on behalf of Chris and myself that we really appreciate your feedback on our articles, good and bad. And we appreciate you, tuning into these podcasts and, these shows. It's not it's not easy. I get that, and I get that we can also be very cynical and negative, but at the same time, we love this team and we love you guys. We always love interacting with you, and we always love to hear your thoughts, and you've really helped our brand grow. So I think I can speak on behalf of Chris when I say that we are very appreciative, and it's been a good year of growth for the website and our Facebook pages. And I guess now we look towards the off season. But go ahead, Chris.
Well, yeah, that's a good point, and thanks to everybody to that supported the channel and HuskerBigRed.com. We're trying to, build a great community here for Husker fans, like we like to say, for hardcore Husker fans, and that's what we both are. It can be tough. Today was tough.
Yeah.
I'm try to stay positive and keep
I'll
a
try
brave
not
face,
to
but
be
we're
too
not.
negative today. Yeah.
We're going to keep it real though too. Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, and there are some negative things with this
Yeah.
team, and there are some positive things. But before we get into it, if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That helps us out. If you like what we're doing, don't be afraid to send us a super chat or anything like that. We definitely appreciate any support that you give us. But
And I think there's
Danny,
going to be a lot of off season content, actually. So I think we're going to have another
which
busy off season.
and unfortunately, yeah, the off season starts today for Nebraska, has already started, and it felt, man, I felt it. I felt all week that Nebraska was going to win this game. I mean, it's always, you know, um, I always get that feeling. I always get that cycle of depression and anger, and then I get back to the optimism. But I really felt like that this was going to happen, and you had the two blocked kicks, and when Tommy Hill intercepted that ball, I really, I believed it, and then just it's just the same and it's not just on Chuba Purdy. I mean, there was a ton of you could point to a number of mistakes. You look at the drive before and that they're trying to go in for a field goal and they get a false start penalty. And then they get, it's just time and time again, and even on that last drive, I'm pretty sure they got a false start penalty or something. Two of them in the fourth quarter,
Yeah.
when they're trying to go down to win the game. I didn't see much commentary about this, but on the drive before the interception, it was like 3rd and 5, and I don't know if we thought we got a first down or what, but we went into some hurry up mode, and so then on one of the most important plays of the game on a 3rd and 5, we quick snap it, and which could have been disastrous, and we didn't end up getting a first down, but it's just the same mistakes. Can't hold on to the football. I mean, how many turnovers did we have today? 3. 3
Yeah.
turnovers. It's so frustrating how it's just the same mistakes, and I don't know.
And it doesn't
I
matter
mean,
what coaching staff either. And I think that's the most bewildering part of all this, in my opinion. It
yeah, I
just
mean,
seems like
Matt
year.
Rule after this game looked the same that Scott Frost looked after the Michigan game when they lost it in 2021, because it's inexplicable. Like you can't explain it. I mean, to yeah, it's just so. I mean, to me, like it's like take a freaking shot down the field on that last play or something. I mean, it's really easy to criticize play calling, and they got it all day across the field, but they were throwing it over the middle of the field. But it's like, come on, Chuba, the guy was right there, and you threw it right to him. And then
Yeah,
I
that
don't,
was
I,
bad.
and then you give up. I mean, I know the defense played great and all that, but and then you give up a 20-yard. I mean, if you stop them there, it's a
Yeah.
50-some-yard field, and I knew they were going to run it. I don't know how Nebraska didn't know they were going to run that ball. I mean, so it's just like
They
because it
missed a
was the
lot of tackles recently, and today was very evident that they were continuing to miss tackles. In that respect, it looked like the Nebraska defense of old. Especially was the long run you were talking about, the one where Gifford kind of got blocked but still should have made the tackle? Was that the one? Because he came
yeah.
up through the gap and then he
Well, there
just
was there, and
completely.
then Phelan got juked on that. That was the first. I think that was. I don't know if they even scored on it. I can't. I think they got. I
No,
think
but
they
I think
actually
they
got held
got
to a
into the
field
red
goal.
zone. Yeah.
I think that was the time they made the field goal. But this one I'm talking about is just right before they kicked it, and they returned the interception back to like the 36 or 37. So, I mean, they were barely inside field goal range. And then you give up a 20-yard run to take a 50-yard field goal and give it to, and then it's like a chip shot. And then, I mean, the missed field goal by Tristan. And I mean, just Chuba's running for a first down. I mean, he would have had an easy first down and he just drops the ball. I've never seen anything like this
And he
where
had
our
both hands on the
quarterbacks,
ball.
yeah, they can't.
Yeah.
Just nobody's even there, and they're dropping. I mean, he's not even trying to throw it on that play. It looked like a
No.
design run. Maybe he was. I don't quite remember, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's. Anyways, thanks to everybody who's joining us in the chat here. I see.
There's a lot of you, so we appreciate it. I mean,
It was scripted perfectly. Yeah, it was. I just don't. Yeah, Brian, one comment I thought Rule the would be getting experienced coach when it comes to clock management. I guess that's not the case. And yeah, I mean, I'm not, the players need to play better too at the end of the game. So I mean, it's
yeah.
not just on Matt Rule, but there was a lot of really questionable like, on the one drive, for instance, when it was maybe the first drive of the fourth. So we got it was fourth down, I think at the 42, 4th and 4. And for
Mm.
some reason, we're trying to run the field goal team out there. And
Yeah.
then we
Yep. I
take
remember
a
that.
timeout and then punt it. Okay,
Yes.
if you were gonna
That's a
punt it
waste of
anyway,
time.
yeah, why are you wasting
Yeah.
timeouts? Like, and then I mean, I kind of understand. I didn't hate the challenge to try to
No,
go
I
for the
didn't either
first
because
down.
I honestly,
And I
at
don't know
first
how
look,
they
I
got
thought he
that
got
wrong.
it.
Like, how
Yeah.
the
I
fuck did
thought
they
he
get
got it.
that
Yeah.
wrong? He did. And
He did.
the
Yeah.
funniest thing I thought to me all day was, when they missed the targeting call. I mean, Ross Tucker was like bewildered by the Big Ten officials. It's like that's just they do it every week. They're the worst officials in the sport. Like, somebody tell me I'm wrong, but every single
They
week
are.
these guys, and even with the benefit of replay, like how was that not targeting on that one play? He
And
tried to
not for
use his.
nothing. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just
Sorry.
saying. I mean, he was. I mean, he put himself in danger, but he was trying to use his helmet as a weapon
Yeah.
to knock the ball out. Like that, you
Yeah.
can't do that. And
Yeah.
so it's just.
That
I
was
mean, and
about as
then
guaranteed a targeting call as I thought, and the fact that Ross Tucker, who played a second role as Iowa fan announcer in this broadcast, thought it was a targeting call, should have told you all you needed to know about the fact that it was such a bad missed call. It really was such a bad
when
missed
then
call, and if that was a Nebraska player, that would have been 15 yards and an ejection. And call
yeah,
me crazy, call me off the hinges, but we've seen it time and time again. Hell, we get called for disconcerting signals all the time, and we seem to be the only damn team in the country that gets that penalty. So that would have been an ejection for Nebraska, and that was a huge missed targeting call too, because that would have given us, put
another
us in better
15
range for at least a
yards.
field goal. Yeah,
And yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. And then on the one, not that it even mattered, but he's like, Ross Tucker's like, I don't understand why the ball's not marked at the 15. The ball should have been marked at the 21. And I'm like, yeah, dude, if it was at the 21, it would have been a first down. You're literally sitting here saying that Matt Rule should have won the challenge, but then at the same time, he's being like, they didn't get enough yards to win the challenge. I'm like, dude, do you
yeah.
not see like where the first down marker is? I was like, my God.
It was funny
Like, I
listening
was,
to Ross Tucker
yeah.
concoct his word soups all day as he was trying to squeeze as many positive things about Iowa as possible. But I mean, I guess to shift a little bit towards the positives, one player that really stood out to me today is Tommy Hill. I thought he played really well, and he's had a tough go in some games, but I thought today he played really well, and I hope he comes back for another year. I think he will because he has one more year, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yeah.
So if he comes back, I mean, and he can play as well as he did this year, then I think that would be a big boost for the Nebraska defense.
Yeah, I mean, he made some really big plays, and that was that was one of the biggest plays of his career. And it's just, I mean, it's insane that it just can't. We couldn't score from there. I mean,
Yeah,
Iowa. It's baffling to me how poor this team continues to be. I mean, I thought, through part of the game, I thought, yeah, maybe Chuba can be the quarterback for this team, but now I just don't. I don't know. I
and it
just don't.
wasn't just Chuba either. It was the fact that they
Mm-mm.
showed it on multiple replays. The receivers did not get open. There was zero
No.
separation between the receivers and the Iowa defenders. And Chuba did not have he had a decent game, but he made some costly mistakes. But at the same time, it's hard to do that when your receivers can't get open.
Yeah, and there was no running game, really to
Yeah.
speak of, except for Chuba, making a few plays here or there. But yeah, it was. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know why we thought it would be any different. I mean, I haven't seen what
Because it was
Matt.
so damn close, and we had multiple
Yeah,
opportunities to win the game. And yes, they're the number 17th ranked team in the country, and yes, they're going into the Big Ten championship game. But that was a very, very beatable Iowa team. If we just didn't beat ourselves, which we've done pretty well over the last 6 years or so, we would have had a great opportunity to win the game. And we were so close yet again. It seems just like the recipe every single Black Friday. Get our hopes up only to lose by a field goal in the final seconds. And yes, last year was the exception, but that's what made last year so special. This year was just more of the same stuff.
yeah. I just don't understand how. I mean, we're sitting, it's frustrating to me because, we sat here. I mean, we said it again, and people can call me a hater or whatever. They can say I'm a Matt Rule hater, but I mean, literally all the same problems we had last season, many of the same problems. Like, yes, the offensive line is better and the defense has been better. Although, I mean, I don't think this defense is that much better than it was in 2021. I mean, so like at the end, because I
Yeah,
mean,
they
then they had a
dropped off
really
a little bit. Yeah.
and they had a really easy schedule. I mean, outside of Michigan, this team hasn't played a good offense really all year. Outside of, I guess, Shadur Sanders tore us up like to
Yeah.
shreds. I mean,
And and
so
and, and I think he's a pretty good quarterback, regardless of what people think about him, and his
yeah,
antics on the
like
field. He's a good quarterback.
if he was our quarterback, we had to won 10 games this year, probably. I mean, maybe not. He would probably be 5-7 because they just find a way to piss themselves, which we did again. Like it's so frustrating to me. And I don't want to talk bad about guys like Bryce Benhert's made a really
Yeah.
positive season. But how the hell is the guy you're in the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter of this the most important game of your career, and you're false starting still after 40 starts? We had two guys, and we had a guy, Nordin's walking on senior day and false starting in the last 5 minutes. Like, come on, this is the same little stuff you cannot do. Like, Iowa didn't have any false start penalties in the second half that I remember, and we had like 3 or 4. I mean, it's just you cannot shoot yourself in the
But
foot
this is the
and
problem.
expect to beat teams.
It's just the same people from the last 4 years, and say this is crazy and whatever you want. But I think honestly, as soon as a certain group of players move on and we just start afresh on the offensive line and get all new faces in there, then the old habits will continue. And I think some of the players are moving on, obviously, and hopefully that will change. But it's always been the same people the last 4 or 5 years.
And then yeah,
If it's not Nordine, it's Teddy. And if it's not, Bryce Benhart had a good year this year. I thought he really improved, but he struggled for most of his Nebraska career, and that was an indictment on not being developed, you know,
I mean, yeah,
on the
and
offensive line.
yeah, and like, I see Josh here, it's not fair to criticize Purdy as the highest ceiling of any of our quarterbacks, and he's only just a sophomore,
And
but
that's
yeah,
a
but
fair
he's
point.
I mean, but he can graduate this year. He's been in college for 4 years. Like, I mean, it's not like this is his first. Like, the dude played. I think he played for a year or two at Florida State before he came here. So like, he's not a young pup here. He's been through at least 3 college seasons. I think 4. I think 4 maybe. And he could graduate and he could grad transfer out of here. So I mean, like, I get it, but that mistake. I mean, throwing the ball right there, that's high school stuff. That's high school crap. I mean, a drop back line, and you don't even see him. I mean, come on, you have to know in that situation not to throw the football unless you know the guy's open. I mean, especially, I mean, if you're going to throw a bomb down the field, like that's one thing. You know, if you're going to just chuck it down to Lloyd or Coleman, and if it gets picked there, like, oh well. But that, I mean, that decision really cost us. I mean, it did cost us the game. One turnover in that situation cost us the game, and it's just disheartening that they didn't even have to make a good play to win the game. We threw it right to him, literally right to him. I mean, it's like, you know, yeah, if they make an incredible play, like, you know, well, that's awesome. But I mean, it's just basically all teams have to do against Nebraska is hang around in the fourth quarter long enough until they piss their pants, and that's what's happened.
Didn't
I
we
mean,
say that last year?
yeah, but I mean, it's the same shit, and it's really frustrating. And I mean, I don't. Matt Rule's probably like, "What the hell did I get myself into?" Because you know,
I
he
mean, I
looks
said
like
from the
he's aged
beginning that he
about.
should
He
just
looks
sat
like
on his
he,
Carolina Panthers money and like not even bother to come here. But I mean,
yeah.
you know,
I don't know, man. I just like I don't want to say I know every you know, and I'm not trying
yeah,
to say like be all doom and gloom and stuff, but like the thing about it, I just tend to believe this. It's like okay, in terms of like quarterbacks, like NFL quarterbacks, right? Like either you can play or you can't. And I know development helps and all that type of stuff, but at the end of the day, when you put a kid out there, like either he can make plays or he can't. You know what I mean? And so it's like I don't like, you know, we're both Patriots fans, you know, you and I, Danny, I'm a quasi Patriots fan. And,
mhm.
you know, like Mac Jones at this point, no matter how much development he ain't ever going to be a good
Nope,
NFL quarterback. Like
nope.
at
But I
some
wanted
point,
him to be good too. That's the thing.
yeah. And so I'm like, I'm not trying to say like, I mean, but we really don't know that Matt Rule. I mean, yeah, he can take, you know, he's done it at Temple and Baylor, but this ain't Temple and Baylor. This Big Ten conference is not, you know, the Big 12 and the big, you know, I mean,
Temple and
and the
Baylor are better
A10.
at this point, probably. No. Well,
Yeah, and it's
Baylor's
just like,
actually kind of fallen off a little bit, but I
so
mean,
I mean, the mistake, and I really, I mean, the decisions that he's making at these, I mean, it reminds me of
yeah,
Mike Riley. It reminds me of Mike
yeah.
Riley. And it drives me, the game management stuff drives me insane because any person, you don't even have to really understand like the X's and O's of football to get game management. It's
Well,
just common sense stuff.
for
I mean,
example,
how to use timeouts and things. Yeah, go
on
ahead.
the no on that Alvano field goal attempt that they trotted Alvano out for, I would have just punted the football.
Yeah.
I mean, because
Well, why
Alvano
even waste the
has
timeout?
struggled anyway, so I wouldn't feel comfortable, you know, trying to get him to kick it from there. Plus the wind. I think Nebraska had the wind at their back at that point, but I mean, at that point, it's just like, all right, punt the football. Bushini's, you know, played pretty well today, and he had that punt that was down inside the one, which was good to see after you know he's kind of struggled too this season. So I mean, I don't know. It's just like the moment's getting too big for the coaching staff at times, and I hope that changes next year. But next year we're gonna have an even tougher schedule.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's going to be tougher. And I mean, I get like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you do at this point. I really don't. I mean, I don't see how you can't, like, you cannot go into next season with just Chuba Purdy now. You
No,
just can't. I mean,
and I
you
don't think they're
tried.
going to.
No, you can't. Like, you need to go find a winner right now. And I know they like that Holy Cross guy might be good, but that's not good enough. You have
No,
to go because, like I said, and I know people don't want to hear this and say it, but if this team doesn't get to a bowl game next season, Matt Rule is absolutely on the hot seat in 2025. And then you sit there, and then teams are recruiting or using that to recruit against you, just like they did against Scott Frost. And I mean, and then it all goes downhill, and then the pressure just builds and builds and builds. And like, you know,
we
I
almost.
thought it was really important for this staff and this team and this program to get to a bowl game this year. And so, I mean, for it to just, you know, like you can't call this season anything but a failure. There's no other way to categorize it, in my opinion, other than a failure.
I don't know if I'd call this season a failure just because of the way that it played out. Like if we were healthy, and I know this is unrealistic, but if we were healthy throughout the entire season, then yes, I would obviously consider it a failure. But we started our third string quarterback, you know, a makeshift O line. We don't have our good running backs. You know, we don't have the veteran wide receivers that we needed. And I know it sounds like I'm making excuses, but the injuries took a toll on us this year, and we don't have the depth to overcome that. I understand at this point in the year, injuries affect everybody. But I mean, there were a lot of factors throughout the season early on that made it clear that this may not be a team that can make it to a bowl. And
Yeah, I mean,
it starts with the whole Jeff Sims thing.
yeah, I mean, and it starts with because they made a terrible decision on Jeff Sims, and so like, yeah, I
They
mean,
almost need two quarterbacks in the transfer portal because
yeah,
okay, Chuba, a legitimate starter, and then somebody else who may be willing to take a backup role. Granted, I know that's probably hard to find, but I mean, at this point, just clean out the quarterback room with the exception of Chuba, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, we averaged 18 points a game this year, and that number is even like generous when you look at the schedule, because if you look at take out the 73 points that we scored, or the 63 points, excuse me, that we scored against Louisiana Tech and Northern Illinois, and this offense averaged 15.3 points per game. I mean, that is pathetic. And and it's all because I mean, a lot of it has to do with they chose the wrong quarterback. I mean, Matt Rule, I mean, he talked about how like he had to get things right the first year and stuff, and then he went and got quarterback because he knew the coach there. And you know what I mean? Outside of that, they didn't really know a whole lot other than he
Kind of like
watched Jeff
how he
Sims on
assembled his
TV a
staff
couple
too,
times.
honestly. It's
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
how he assembled his staff, but I'm willing to give Marcus Satterfield another year, as if I make all the decisions, right? But I mean, this year was tough, offensively, but just personnel aside, some of the things he called schematically were questionable. I'm not going to fire him yet because turning over offensive coordinators after 1 year, in my opinion, is never a good thing. But if this continues next year, then we may be talking about a new offensive coordinator with Matt Rule already on the hot seat.
Yeah. Basically, Satterfield will be the sacrificial lamb, and that'll buy him one. He'll give him the blood of Satterfield to sacrifice the fan base, or to satisfy the fan base. I mean, so yeah, I need to get a. I mean, that's the thing, is that's going to be hard though. I mean, those guys are still highly recruited guys,
Dylan
and
Raiola.
yeah, I don't think so. Yeah,
Nope.
maybe. I mean, Carson Beck does look really. Carson
Yeah.
Beck isn't. He's not going to not play. I mean, Dylan Raiola is not playing next year, so there's no. I mean, but like Dante, that's the thing though, is like there are guys. I mean, yeah, there's a couple guys at Ohio State. I mean, maybe Devin Brown wants to transfer. Malik Murphy from Texas, I would think, is going to transfer. Dante Moore from UCLA, but do I think Nebraska can get any of those like three
No.
players? No, I don't. No, I don't. I mean, Nebraska needs to. I don't know. Yeah, that's what's tough, because they don't have the NIL really, and these guys, for one thing, I mean, like if you're going to go get a Sam Hartman or somebody like that, you have to guarantee him probably almost $1 million in NIL money, and that's just the way that it works. Yeah, Kinholz. I forget where he's playing at, Lincoln Kinholz, but
Ohio
Vandergrift.
State, right?
Yeah,
Or no. Is he still in high? Hold on. Let me look that up real quick.
I mean, was it Ohio State? Is that what you said? Because you that so Tim, fully expect we wouldn't win, can't fix the problems from the beginning of the season if you're using the same experienced young kids dealing with the same. Some of you don't get it when these coaches get these kids to understand and think smart, but still to give 100% every play and don't turn the ball over again. Turnovers, sloppy pass routes, penalties on the field too, but still amazing. Some of you think it all gets fixed on maybe overnight. I mean, I understand that, Tim, but okay, here's my point though. And I know, like, I mean, people, yeah, I'm a part Michigan fan too, so I'm going to use my Jim Harbaugh example. But Michigan, the year before Jim Harbaugh was the head coach, was just off a 5-7 season, and they were horrible. And they basically got, like every team in the Big Ten that was worth a shit beat them by like 3-4 touchdowns. And then the next year, with the very same players, they found a transfer quarterback from Iowa, Jake Rudock. The same players, they went 10-3. So don't tell me that an impact coach can come in here and not make a difference. And I thought that Matt Rule was an impact coach. And
it's also a lot easier to recruit out Michigan than it is to recruit out Nebraska.
Yeah, but if you look at and Michigan had more talented, teams, so I get that. But I mean, if you look at like if we're looking at recruiting numbers, the blue chip ratio and all that, Nebraska's top 25 talent in college football over the last 4 years. So if you're talking about recruiting talent, there's not 25 programs in this country that have more talent than this Nebraska team has right now. So in my opinion, a good coach gets the most out of those players. And Matt Rule didn't do that this season. And there's nobody who can convince me that he did. And a lot of it, I mean, how many turnovers? You lead college football in turnovers. You have, I mean, probably 10 more fumbles than anybody else in all of college football. You have constant pre-snap penalties. The game management isn't good. The special teams for most of the year hasn't been productive, and the quarterback play is bad. And that's on. I mean, good coaches. I mean, look at Deacon Hill is not a very good quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. And by the end of the year, his ass got better. I mean, he's actually like a functional quarterback right now. Tell me anybody on our offense that's actually gotten like Heinrich Haarberg didn't get better. He got worse. Jeff Sims got worse. I mean, Cheba Purdy maybe got worse, but he just had 3 turnovers in the most important game of the season, or 2, and he gave the ball away on the final drive. So I'm like, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I know, but I mean, I'm not saying that Nebraska should have won the Big Ten title this year, but to go from 4 wins to 6 wins, a competent coach, a good coach would have done that. And Matt Rule, he can still have success in the future. This doesn't write him off, but he did not do a good job this year. Then nobody can convince me otherwise that he did. I think he did a bad job, and he needs to look at himself in the mirror and get this figured out, because if he doesn't win, if this team doesn't go to a bowl game next season, then I think he's not going to make it here. That's my honest opinion.
Then we're going to have to go head coach hunting again, which will be interesting, to say the least. I mean, you think, they signed Matt Rule to an 8-year contract, but as we know, coaches don't necessarily either last those long-term deals or honor those long-term deals. So what happens this year will be, I think this 2024 recruiting class will be the staple class for Matt Rule's, tenure. This will be the class that will either make him or break him. And yes, we have some talented kids coming in and, things like that. But I mean, this group of kids in Matt Rule's second year with his second group of players is going to be important for the long-term success of the program.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, for sure. And they're, hopefully they can get, Grant Bricks, and they can get that recruitment,
Brooks was
wrapped
at the
up.
game
And
today, by the way. So, I mean,
yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I don't know if that helps us or hurts us, but just, yeah, it's someone made the comment that I'm reading on Twitter that this is a special kind of hell being a Nebraska fan. And that's pretty accurate.
yeah,
Um,
because it doesn't
like,
matter. It's just the same stuff year after year, player after player, coach after coach. I mean,
and I feel horrible for guys like, Nash and Ty Robinson and Tommy Hill, Quentin Newsom's he's not coming back. I mean, he's not ever going to play in a bowl game. I mean, so that it breaks my heart, because these guys, it's not that they're not trying. It's not that they're not working hard. You know what I mean? I'm not ever questioning their work ethic or any of that. I mean, they're giving it everything they have. And so like, I'm broken for them and some of those guys, but it's just, and that's why, I don't feel like that this coaching staff put these guys in the best position to win. And that is one of the things that frustrates me, because it's the simple things, man. It's the simple things. Like, how the hell can you as the head coach not figure out how to manage the clock? I mean, it's just like, come on, like stuff like that just drives me absolutely bonkers. And like I didn't know, and then I'm not going to be unfair to Matt Rule either. Like when they played
I
for the
agree with
field
CB.
goal.
I agree with CB here. If Nebraska NIL cannot spend $1 million for a quarterback when they're spending $400 for seatbacks and a new concourse, then this program is dead. I am with you, CB. We need to pony up for a quarterback, because, we've seen how many, what a good program can do to a quarterback. I mean, what a good quarterback can do to a program immediately. It can inject life into the offense and turn things around. So that's priority, I think, number one for Nebraska.
The problem is that, like what you're saying, CB, that money goes right to the school, and the school can't use that money for NIL. That's just not how it works. I mean, if you could do that, then schools could just give salaries to players directly, which they probably should be able to do. But
There are a
unfortunately,
lot of donors, though. So
yeah. It's just, but yeah, you need the thing is you need the donors to pony up the money to do it, and then you need to have somebody to run it and coordinate it and all that type of stuff. And so I think it's getting better. I hope. I really don't know, but yeah, I wish it was as simple as the university taking some of its money, and because I bet you if they could, honestly, they'd probably just start paying the shit out of players instead of doing these stupid stadium renovations. I mean,
Well, you
like at the end
wonder.
of the day, because winning is more money brings more money than anything. You know what I mean?
Hell,
Like
even
that's
when we lose, we're making a lot of money for this. The state of Nebraska and the city of Lincoln. So
Yeah, but that's like people talk about like Jim Harbaugh and like, oh, should he be back? Like if Michigan doesn't sign Jim Harbaugh, they're stupid. And I'm not even talking about results on the field because that guy has made more money for the University of Michigan than anybody associated with that school probably ever. Because like they were handing out like before he came, you could get into the game with a can of soup and it was like free because they suck so bad. And now like their apparel fly off the shelves. They're one of the biggest TV commodities out there. So like if you have a winning head football coach, it's worth a hell of a lot of money to your school. And so I mean, I wish that, and if you win games, so I mean, I think that they would just go out and straight buy players if they could do it.
I agree with
So
CB here, though. I mean, I do think there are a lot of legacy projects that Nebraska's undertaking, and not as big a focus on NIL. I mean, I get that they have a director of NIL, and that was actually just put in place this summer. So, I mean, I think we're a little behind the times there, and we need to get with the times quickly because, quite honestly, and I'm not going to mention him by name, but even the NIL, what do you call them? The NIL funds or whatever that we do have are poorly advertised, and I'm not going to say poorly ran, but you really have to dig in order to find them. So I'm hoping that changes soon.
I mean, I think that like the 1890s done a good job with like volleyball and women's I think it's done a good job in getting all teams, but and actually Nebraska like they did a pretty good job in the transfer portal getting guys. So like that doesn't happen without like you don't get Bryce Williams and without some functioning NIL. So I think it's getting better, but yeah, it's not where it needs to be. Like it's not to where
For
it's not like
football,
yeah. No, and I mean for basketball either, because like you're not going to compete with like Kansas. You know what I mean? Like
no.
there's a different level, and so yeah, like Brock Vandegrift from Georgia, like yeah, he would be great. I would absolutely love to get that kid in here, but he's probably going to go somewhere else in the SEC because he'll probably get paid twice as much. I mean, that's just how it works. I mean, hopefully that's wrong, but and the other thing is that's you don't want to scare off Daniel Kalen either. So I don't know, but they need to find
At
somebody that
this
can
point,
get this.
they need to find something or do something at the position.
Yeah.
I mean, I would
They just need
rather
to win.
have good competition in the quarterback room and have somebody leave than to have nobody at all and really struggle during the season. Because at least you have
Yeah,
choices when you have a good quarterback competition.
lost Rouse and yeah, and I think it probably had something to do
Yeah.
with losing Keelan Lacey too. I mean, I know
Yeah.
obviously he's like trending to Alabama, but you're probably making a crap ton of money going there. I don't care what, Nick Saban tries to act all like, oh, I'm not like shut up, man. You've been paying players since the day you were
Yeah.
there. Like that's what drives me crazy with these
He was paying players before
coaches,
they were cool. And then
Yeah,
what was the
right.
other one? Luke Fickell complaining about 6th and 7th year players. Like your
Yeah.
quarterback, Tanner Mordecai, is 35 years old, and you have no leg to stand on when it comes to complaining about 6th and 7th year players.
I
But
still can't
anyway,
believe we're not going to a bowl game though. It's
and Wisconsin
unbelievable.
is, Northwestern is, Iowa, of course, is playing Big Ten championship game.
We'll see if Minnesota can beat Wisconsin to get there. It's just
Like
it's depressing, you
we
guys.
had so much optimism coming into the season too. I really thought that we would at least get that 6th win. That Michigan State game still haunts me.
Yeah, I just think that after we had the undefeated October, I really thought,
Yeah.
hey, we were 5-3. I mean, I just thought there's no way we're not going to make a bowl game. And so yeah, it's just insane.
Silly us. Silly
Yeah,
us.
silly us. Who would have thought that? Yeah, when really this was the most predictable This was the most predictable outcome because it's just like last week, getting up 14-0 and still finding a way to lose. I mean, it's the most Nebraska thing ever. I mean,
And our
really,
next
it really
game is
is.
9 months from now. That's the other depressing thing. We got a long ass time before we play football again.
I know. I was thinking about that today. Like
9
I
months.
don't want the seat. We waited all year for the season to get here, and
Only to be
now,
disappointed and wait 9 months for more disappointment.
yeah, now it's gone, and we have nothing to show for it.
But you know what? We do have
Tears,
is basketball
but my
team.
tears. That's all I have. I
Basketball
don't even
team will
have
keep us busy.
I don't have blood or sweat. I just have tears.
Basketball team's looking pretty good though. I gotta say.
They are.
Juan Gary was really
I appreciate your stick to itiveness too. Like you're trying to find the positives.
well. 9 months is a long damn time, man. I don't know. Like
if this Nebraska team doesn't get to the NCAA tournament, like I'm just gonna be in shambles.
I honestly say that I think that they will
I think
because
they will too.
they've
But
shown a closeout ability that this football team doesn't have, and they're really, really good. They're one of the deepest teams that Fred Hoiberg has ever had. Like I was watching the game last night because it wasn't on like Big Ten quadruple plus network, and um, I got to see the deep bench for the first time,
yeah.
and there was very little drop off between the starters and the bench. This team is very, very good right now.
Yeah, it was my I was driving home and so I didn't see I was stuck in when they played Oregon State, I was stuck in a place with cell phone hell, so I couldn't stream it. I could only follow the Gamecast text and yeah, the other I listened to him on the radio, but I just refused to pay for a BTN plus.
No,
So yeah, that was my first time actually fully watching him and it was impressive. And I love how, I love the guys inside a league rank. They're a big physical team. They can shoot the ball well. And I mean, when you got Gary and Wilcher coming off the bench and Hoiberg and Blaze Cada is going to probably play some more minutes when he gets a little healthier. And yeah, it's a deep team. I think I think we're at the top 50 now, according in the Ken Palm rankings. So
and I feel like Wilcher is actually comfortable in this offense for the first time since he's been here.
yeah, and he looks just comfortable in his role too.
Yep. Absolutely.
So and yeah, it's like I mean him and Gary, they aren't starting, but they're playing as much as a starting player would. And so I like how everybody's just it seems like they've found their roles and yeah, they finished that game really well. So that was a good win. And volleyball's playing Wisconsin right now. Hopefully they can win, a national championship. But yeah, it's gonna be a long off season
9
and
months, man. Like damn. Like football is my favorite sport. I wait all these months just to have it go by like that, and then on top of it they lose, and it just makes me angry and sad. And then I gotta wait 9 more months because we don't make a bowl game, and
and what's crazy too, like these
it's
these
dark
like there's
outside, and it's
yeah, and their season's going to be done like tomorrow. I mean it's done now, but like they're going to be meeting with like Coach Rule tomorrow, and it's like it's crazy how quickly you go from yeah. When Tommy picked that ball off, I thought we were going to go to a bowl game, and then the season's over like 5 minutes later. So it's just
when we
tough.
had that undefeated October, I thought we were gonna go to a bowl game.
Yeah, I did too. I thought when we had first and goal against Maryland, we were going to go to a bowl game.
Yeah, that was a big one too.
And it's yeah, that's why, and I remember saying it that day. I said it that Monday, like if this is what happens, you had the opportunity and you just, it's just disappointing. But at the end of the day, too, I mean, guys have to execute. I mean, so I get that. I mean, Coach Rule can't play, but at the same time, it's just I mean, I just think that at least on the offensive side, especially, you have to, did we really give ourselves the best chance to win this year from the quarterback position on down? And I don't think that they did, especially at quarterback.
Well, honestly, anybody we threw out there was not good at one point or the other over the course of the season. So, I mean, even if we did give ourselves the best chance to win, would they have executed what we needed them to do? I'm not going to say 100% yes. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's what I think going back to the Jeff Sims, like that really doomed our season. It's just because this defense is good enough to get to a freaking bowl game. And we said that 2 years ago, and it was true again this year. And
2 years ago, as bad as this year sucked, 2 years ago hurt even more because we were
Hmm.
so damn close. And just really quickly, another thing, people say if we had Casey Thompson, we would have made it to a bowl game. You take away Trey Palmer, I still don't think Casey gets us into a bowl game because Trey Palmer was 95% of the offense last year.
And well, the other thing too is, I mean, Casey's always had a hard time staying healthy, so it's like you invest in Casey. I mean, Jeff Sims too kind of had that, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean,
Like I think
I just
either
don't
way, we
think
would still be sitting here 5-7. You know what I mean?
probably, which is incredible to believe that we're still, and just with the the schedule too that was so favorable, and it ended up being pretty. I mean, because Michigan State, when you looked at the schedule at the start of the year, that road game, like you kind of thought they were going to be good. And then by the time we played them, they were like 2-6 and they still beat us. And it's like, Jesus Christ. I mean,
That was the game that
sorry,
broke me.
sorry to take the Lord's name in vain. I shouldn't do that. But I mean, gosh, come on. Like it's just we try not to keep my composure, but I threw my jersey like 20 times. I'm so pissed off.
Yeah, I kind of may have thrown a remote or two, so I got to find the batteries. But yeah, I mean, on to next season, and yeah, I mean, not a lot to say.
Yeah, I think I don't see a lot of comments here from anybody, so we could
They're
probably
probably
wrap
as
this up.
depressed as we are. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't blame
I
them.
need to
I
go.
honestly, I'm probably not going to write until Monday. I don't even want to deal with this until Monday.
I'm gonna write up some. I'll write up a little something, but yeah, it's
I
just gonna
mean,
be.
it's pretty much everybody knows we're not offering any insight. We need a damn quarterback. We failed. This defense. I mean, one thing to watch is will Tony White stay or will he go?
Yeah,
And will Nash
yeah,
stay or will he go?
yeah. That would be a nice start to get those guys back. And yeah, it sucks that we're in off-season mode already. Which I mean, everybody's going to be in off-season mode essentially. I mean, even before their bowl game. But it just would
But it
have been
was
great
by so
to.
quick, you know.
Yeah, it would have been great to have that. Even if it was the freaking whatever bowl against whoever. It just would have been. It would have been that would have been like the stadium, and it would have been like this team won the Big Ten championship. Like that's what it would have, you know what I mean? Like they probably would have rushed the field at the end, and I don't blame them. And
Didn't
so it just sucks that we got robbed of
didn't
it
I say
again.
13-10 this week for my prediction? I think I
Yeah, you
might.
did. You got it right. I had it sit when when I was sitting there, I thought because I said 16-13, and I put in my prediction that Tristan was going to make a game. So when he lined up for that field goal, I was like, man, if he makes this, I might be like my score might not be 100% correct, but like I predicted Tristan to hit a game-winning field goal, so I was like, I might have this. And then of course I think he just tried to kick it too hard. I think he
Well,
was
I think
going into the wind,
yeah,
and I think he thought he was gonna,
get the
and
win.
I
Yeah,
only say that because as a golfer, I know when I swing, like when I swing too fast, I duck hook it right left out of bounds. So I think he just had the wind got in his head a little bit and he tried to hit it hard. And
yeah.
so I feel
I
bad
still want
for
to see
him.
him as a kicker next season. I feel like we need
Oh
development
yeah.
at the kicker position, and it's been a rough year. And like he obviously doesn't try to miss kicks and whatever. So I do feel bad for him. And
That 44 yarder was big time that he made. I mean, that was a big time kick. And so, if we wouldn't get that's the word, it's frustrating because that was a drive where we had a penalty, a false start penalty that put in, it's like, so then you're trying to kind of get just enough yards because into the wind, I mean, I think anything beyond the 25-yard line was a really tough kick today. And so, I mean, that it said a 45-yarder, but it felt probably more like a 50-some yarder to
yeah,
him. So it's tough.
he did make that one that sent us into overtime against Wisconsin. So he did make some big kicks this year.
He did, and yeah, I don't think that that's the problem. And I believe he would have made the kick if he got another chance. And
And
I mean,
I
yeah,
know we bragged on special teams all week, but those blocked field goals that Ty Robinson
yeah,
had were really strong today. Really, Ty Robinson
it was
overall had a
massive.
really good game. Yeah,
He did, yeah, knock the ball, knocked the ball out a couple times.
I'm
So
so
he
happy
was
he's coming
great.
back.
Yeah, Nash was great. It was funny, Princewell, they totally Uma Malian made that big play, and then they totally butchered his name. He called him Uma Malin or so, yeah, it was bad. So
But he's gonna
anyway,
be we're gonna have to pay for him to stay in Nebraska, I think.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is you have to get the NIL ready for your own guys. So hopefully, yeah, we can keep them and we don't have like what we had happen with AJ Allen last year. Because how badly could this team have used him? Somebody that you can just give the ball to and say, here, go make a play.
Not only
and a
that, but
jump.
Miami's loaded at running back, so so Allen probably would have got more playing time here.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to go chug a 6-pack and go to bed.
Same here. I'm funny. The game day cycle continues, but
oh god,
we got bouncy ball to look forward to. I think honestly, I want to do. I don't know about you, Chris, but maybe do a commentary stream for basketball one of these nights, one of the 9 p.m. Tuesday Big Ten games, or at some point during the season, maybe some basketball streams or something, just to chat if you wanted.
Yeah, no, that would be fun. Yeah, we should.
I think this team is going to be fun. I don't think they're going to let me down as bad as the football team has.
No, K-State Fever, and then I'm going to be on that, and then hopefully, I think we got the volleyball, the NCAA tournament run coming up next week. So hopefully, I really enjoy this volleyball team. So they're playing Wisconsin right now. I'll probably turn that on, and a
team that can actually win at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, right. Yeah, oof, that was tough, Danny.
I know.
That was a tough burn. But all right, everybody. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back with an episode on Monday. Check out HuskerBigRed.com as well.
We're going to be writing a lot, I think.
Yeah. And as always, no matter how many times we lose, no matter how bad it hurts, as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.